or welcome back to Novel Idea. My name is Dia, and today I am going to be doing the Winter Book Tag. So Brian over at Bookish is the one who tagged me in this, and this is an original tag by Kier the Scrivener, and it is still winter here. There's hardly a time during the winter that we don't have snow on the ground. Sorry if you're hearing background noise. I'm at home and my husband is at home, so it's just the way that it goes sometimes. Let me just jump into this. So the first question is, as winter becomes cold, which I think today our high today is 21 degrees. So we curl up in our coats and blankets around the fire. What book makes you feel warm, seen, or comforted? And I have all kinds of books that I could do as an answer for this, because those are my favorite kinds, are the ones where I feel seen, warm, and comforted. So I wrote down The Little Prince, and this is by Antoine Saint-Exupéry. It explains wonder and childhood and becoming an adult and not losing that really well, and just how silly it is to be an adult sometimes, and just the beauty of hanging on to some childlikeness. So I wrote that one down for that. Question number 2 is, there is a perfection on a cold winter night when the moon shines on the snow and the air is crisp in your lungs and you just want to freeze the moment and capture it. What is a book that you wanted to savor reading? And for this, I wrote Under the Tuscan Sun by Frances Mays. So this is a book that is very atmospheric when you're reading it, and the senses are filled as she cooks in the kitchen, or as she is taught a new recipe, or the sounds of the fountains and different things like that. It's just a lovely, lovely book, and I savored every moment of it. Okay, question number 3. As the world slows with winter, I have always found myself turning to big classics and fantasy. What do you pick up in this season? Recommend your favorite or most recent book in this genre or type. So I too turn to big classics and fantasy, or just big books in general. And my most recent one that I read during this season that I loved and that I would recommend is Cold Mountain by Charles Fraser. And I thought that it was going, because it's called Cold Mountain, and the cover is kind of a blue cover, I thought that it was going to be a cold setting, but it wasn't. But it was still a book that is so beautifully written, and I don't know anything about Charles Fraser as an author besides this book, but I do know that this book in particular is just absolutely beautiful. Question number 4. So she wrote this at Christmas time, so I'm going to switch it up a little bit and just say that as the days become shorter, one can often turn to short books to quickly finish. What are some of your favorite short books? Is The Road Past Altamont, which is Gabrielle Roy. She's a Canadian author, and that is not the proper way to say her name, but I am not French, so I will not attempt that. And it is a series, it's 4 interconnected short stories from when she was a very small child, when she was a preteen, when she was a college student, and when she was an adult. And they are woven together to tell the story of herself, her mother, and her grandmother. I don't think that there is anything that is terribly earth-shattering about them. They're just these gentle stories about what these women are to one another and what life looks like from these different ages and age groups, and what's important in a life, and just those kinds of things. And so I just really love that one. Very short book. And then another short one that I really love is Daddy Longlegs. It's a series of letters written by an orphan girl to her benefactor, and she is very effusive about life and about experiencing these things for the first time, and some of the joys of freedom, and the freedom that being outside of the orphanage brings her, freedom that education brings her, and freedom that friendship brings her, something that she's never experienced until she goes to college. And it's just really heartwarming kind of book. So there's a couple. Number 5. Every Christmas, a singer comes out with a new Christmas classic that is almost immediately forgotten. What book did you highly anticipate that disappointed you? This one, I wouldn't say that it was a disappointment, but it wasn't like an extreme disappointment or anything. So I have been reading for the last couple of years Nora Roberts' The Dragonheart Legacy trilogy. And the first one I really, really loved. And the second one I thought was still really good, and was looking forward to what the first two built up so much. And instead of it being this great climax of a book, it was, this happened, okay, we're building up to it, this happened, and okay, we're done. So it wasn't that it was this, huge letdown or anything like that. It was just that I wanted more from it. And so I guess that's the one that I'm going to go with. Oh, and it was called The Choice. Number 6. What is a retelling that you loved or hated, depending on how you feel about the telling or about the practice of retellings? I'm going to go with one that I loved. I don't think there are too many retellings that I haven't really enjoyed. But one that I really love is Juliette Marillier's Daughter of the Forest. And this is a retelling of the fairy tale, The Seven Swans. Number 7. In colder climates, squirrels and many other animals collect food for winter before hibernating. What is a book you collected long ago and have been hibernating on? I have a collection of Willa Cather's short stories, and I like Willa Cather as an author. I think she is wonderful. And I actually haven't had this one that long, but I have had it long enough to have read it, and I haven't done it yet. So I'm going to go with Willa Cather's collected short stories. Number 8. Winter is also the transition between one year and another. What is your favorite first book and last book in a series? So this was not too hard for me because this is a series that I read just this past year, and I read all three in this series, or all four, excuse me, all four in this series in just one right after the other. So that is the Long Price Quartet, and I liked the middle books okay, but I really liked the first book and the last book. And that is A Shadow in Summer and The Price of Spring. Oh, and those are by Daniel Abraham. Question number 9 is, everybody's waiting for the man with the bag. What is a book you really want to read, even if it might be a mixed bag? So this month, actually, I have a buddy read coming up, and the book that we are reading is by an author that I have read before, not an author that I enjoyed, mainly because I don't think I felt smart enough to understand what he was writing. But we're going to read a different one of his books together, and I'm hoping that between the four of us, because there's 4 of us in the buddy read, and I'm hoping that between the 4 of us that we are going to get it, and I'm not going to feel so dumb. And that is Tagana by Guy Gabriel Kay. Okay, question number 10. In Canada, snowbirds are typically older people who spend their winters in warmer climates to avoid the cold. What is a genre that you don't traditionally live in but occasionally visit? So this is actually true of where I live. Also in the States, we live in Idaho, and Idaho, Washington, Montana, all of those are very full of what we call snowbirds also, where they'll take their RV or whatever down to Arizona for a few months and stay down there until it starts to warm up back up here, and then they'll come back up. I happen to love the seasons, so this isn't something that I do. But so my ones that I don't visit very often would be contemporary fiction and true crime. Both of those are genres that I seldom visit. Contemporary fiction a little bit more often than true crime, but neither one of those are something that I read very often, and not usually something that I enjoy when I do end up reading them. Question number 11 is, winter is often a little slower and cozier and can offer more time for solitude and reflection. What is a book that helped you understand yourself a bit better, or a book that you learned from? And I chose Anne Morrow Lindbergh's Gifts from the Sea. And this is a book that she wrote as a late middle-aged woman. Anne Morrow Lindbergh is the mother of the baby, the Lindbergh baby that was kidnapped. And she had several other children. That wasn't the only child that she and Charles Lindbergh had. So Gifts from the Sea is when she got away by herself to an island, and it is a book that I revisit every now and then because I'm at a different place. Many times I find myself relating to a different section of the book. So I'm going to go with Gifts from the Sea by Anne Morrow Lindbergh. And then number 12 is, what is a book that represents winter for you? I tried to go with something that not everybody was going to say. So I went with one that I don't think very many people know about. And it's actually a trilogy that has been bound up into one book. and is called A Kingdom Far and Clear, and it is by Mark Helprin. And it is actually the story of Swan Lake, is illustrated by Chris Van Allsburg, and it's gorgeous. I think that one is a very good representation of what winter is. And then the last thing is to tag some people, but I don't know very many people that haven't done this yet, and I don't know very many people that are experiencing winter still like I am. So if that is you and you want to do this tag, please consider yourself tagged, and also tag me in your video when you do it so that I can go watch. I would love to hear, if you guys don't have a booktube channel and you want to answer these questions, I would love to hear your answers to whichever of the questions that you want to answer, because I would really love that. That would be amazing. And so I will leave all of these questions linked in the description, along with Brian's channel and Kier's channel, so that you can go watch both of them. And thank you again, Brian, for tagging me. I told him the day that he tagged me, I'm like, yep, it's snowing outside right now. We've got a crock pot full of soup, and it feels very much like winter is still here. So thanks everybody for joining me today, and I really appreciate all of you being here. Please don't hesitate to leave me a comment. I just love this community. So we will see you in the next video very soon. Bye everybody. Like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to.